Okay, so I'm looking to build a long arm kit for Grand Cherokee WJ. So these drawings are on Claytons Offroad.com. Being that we're in Australia, it's the postage is crazy to get a kit like that over here. Now they've got scale drawings on their website, and basically what I intend to do is basically plagiarise their long arm kit. So there are some measurements, but I'm basically just using a scale ruler and figuring out the basic measurements of what I need to do, and I'm going to build basically a replica of their kit, and hopefully it's a fair bit cheaper. So I'm starting with the cross member. So this is the 3-piece cross member. It's I'm using 50 by 100. This section here looks like it's 50 by 75 mil. I think I'm going to be able to get away with just using 100 by 50. So I'm going to sort of make things work. Might not be exact, but we'll see how we go. Alright, that's what we're up to. So at the moment I'm building this one part here, which is this part. So I've measured, it's about 180. So this is box section. I think I've used 125 by 75 mil. That's the closest I could get to what appears to be on that dimensions. And now I'm sort of onto, I'm going to weld the plate here. This joins this cross member, and as you can see, they're offset because this cross member drops down below this, and it's like you can see the measurement. So it's 1 3/4 inches below the top of this. So that's top of that. 1 3/4 inches down is where the cross members go. So I've measured this, these two plates. I'm going to drill them out. It's roughly, it appears to be about 20 mil offset, so 20 mil here, 20 mil here. On the drawing it looks like there's like each side sort of like get a cut there and a sort of a cut there, which I'll do, and on that side sort of cut the edges off. But I've just tack welded these together. I'm going to get it's in the drill press. I'm going to drill my holes. Right, so these are 2 plates. I'm going to bolt up like that. They sort of offset. And then I'm going to weld my bracket to this. I was doing this one first because this one's holding all the weight, so I can get some welds up on the inside as well as here. Then I'll put this plate on. I'll be able to get a weld up the top here and weld around the edges here. Alright, so I've just welded it. I'll weld this back plate on the inside. Here. So next thing I've got to do is I've got a spacer here. I'm going to bolt the two plates in between that, and then fit it in here, and then I'm going to weld this plate. I've also got to cut a little access hole here so I can get the nut up. As you can see in this photo here, not real sure what this one is for, because we've got access to the nut through this access hole here. So I'll probably leave this one out. I'm not 100% sure what that's about, but this back edge one is what you're going to need to stick up and get get a spanner up there to hold, so you can tighten from this end with a ratchet. Alright, so I've cut these plates in here, and they're going to make the pocket. I have to drill a couple of holes, and the bolt's going to go through here. The joint slips in here. Alright, so I'm just trying to figure out where I need to drill these holes. Now, all these photos are online on their website as well, so I've sort of getting a good look at what I need to do. So we can see it's a little bit offset off center. I can see that the nut of the joint wants to come out here. From our scale drawings, and I can see the arms. I've taken a few measurements, and I've figured out that this needs to, the hole needs to be about 45 mil back. So I'm going to drill 9/16 hole. That's what the through bolt is for these joints. So I'm going to drill a 9/16 hole through this, then we'll go from there. Okay, so I've cut a hole slot in here, as you can see. I have to cut it that big so I can get the spanner down there to hold it up, and wide enough so I can slip the nut in. So it's about 17 mil or so. I just used a 16 mil drill bit, and then just got the whatever you call it, rotary bit, and just took it out a little bit more. So I've got my spacer in here, and as you can see, like, there's a bit of gaps here, so fill it up with the weld. So that's going to hold it. So we can see here it is pretty close to 57 mil. Alright, so I've tacked this up. One thing I suppose I've got to make sure is important is that this is square, and as you can see, she seems to be a little bit out. So I'm just going to grind this weld off, because I want to keep this square to this piece, because I've got to square it all up, and that little bit could turn into a lot, you know. Yeah. Alright, so basically done, welded up. It's not pretty, but you can see, like, the weld's penetrated well. So worry about what it looks like. It's gonna hold. So I've still got this plate here. That's how it's going to bolt on. So this cross member will fix onto this. I just tack welded this up for the second. So this is, it goes in there, and that's how I get that. That's the access hole for this. I just welded a plate on the back here. I didn't go one on the bottom. I think that's going to be enough. Yeah, so that's one. Gonna make another one. Then I can. Needs a couple of holes here. You can see there's a couple of holes here, so I've got to drill a couple of holes here, and that's where you bolt this onto. You bolt this onto the uni body, and then once I square it up, tighten them bolts down, then I can weld it onto the frame. Okay, so I've pulled this cross member off. I've now finished the two side bits, just there and there. I've got to do this middle bit. You can see here on the drawing it says 41 inches, 41 and a half inches roughly. That's about 1255 mil, sorry, 1055 mil. And the piece in between is roughly about 640. when you take into account the length of these two ends. Okay, so now I've got to do these bolt holes for this the gearbox mount. It's a little offset, so this is the middle, and this is where the mount sits. So I'm just going to have to measure what that is there. I'll go to my thing here, measure the middle, then measure back. And I'll probably just spray some paint down the holes just so I can see where. I got a drill. I'm not sure how this fits. Yeah, so it fits pretty nicely with 100mm. So it's perfect. Yeah. Alright, so I've measured the offset. It ended up being like 32mm back from there. Just roughly measured it. I just put a mark, so it's getting pretty confusing. So I figured out that's the back. This is the front, so it's sort of to the driver's side of the vehicle a bit more. Let's see, I've put some, yeah, so I've got my marks there. I'll hole punch them, drill all the way through. I think it's about a 12mm. We'll see what size the bolts are. Okay, so I've got this, got all the holes drilled in. They're a bit offset. This is gets a bit confusing because you're upside down and back to front, and just trying to figure out exactly, make sure I've welded the right ones onto the right way, but I think I've got it. I'm just going to tack it until I'm 100%, but just got this, I've squared it off, I've squared it this way, put a couple of tacks in it, and we'll see how we go. Alright, so I got this bolted up here, put a couple of bolts up here. It's got the mount, it's a bit dark under here. So the mount's bolted. I've got the engine out at the minute. The bolts that side. So I still, it's going on a horse. Okay. And I've got to square this up with the frame rail before, and then take it back off, clean everything up, ready for welding. And then once it's all square, I'll bolt it down, tighten everything up, and then I'll hit it with the welds. I think I'll weld it here, 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 and then I'll weld this plate on after I've finished welding everything. Okay, so I've got all this prepped up, I've cleaned up so I've got some bare metal here and here, all the way around. I just had to make sure it's square with the frame. You can see it's a little tiny bit off. Let's see how much. It's probably mil and a half, 2 mil. So what I'm going to try and do, I tried to knock it, but it's hard. So when I weld, I'm going to try and weld this edge first, and then this edge, and hopefully the heat will sort of twist that around a little bit, and I'll get a little bit more square. I don't really think that mil is going to make a massive difference. I've eyed it up to the, like you can see there, to the control arm. It's, you know, it's not going to be that much off, you know, but, so we should be right. But I'll start welding it, we'll be back. Okay, so this is welded on. It's not the prettiest, but it's on there. it's on there pretty good. So got welds there, got welds up the top here, it was pretty difficult to get up in there. Yeah, it's a bit difficult trying to weld upside down. I welded this plate on here. It's a little rough there. Yeah, just put a quick coat of paint. Yeah, it's definitely not pretty, but it's on that. It's got some good penetration, so it's not going anywhere. So I'm just going to do the other side, and then once that's done, I'll finish welding up there. But that's basically it for that cross section. And I suppose my next video will be making towards the rear hangers for these. So we'll go from there and see where we're at.